Hello. Well, hello there. Today's video, I'm responding to the questions, finally, for the second Q&A. I'm really sorry that this whole thing has been really delayed. It was supposed to happen somewhere last year, wasn't it? Oh, gosh. It's fine, though, because I'm finally getting around to doing it, alright? So, we're just gonna get right into this, okay? Let's just get straight to it, okay? The first question comes from Perplexo, and he's asking, will you be making a new banner with all of the updated characters in them? So, I tell you what, I have actually been wanting to do this for quite some time now, but I've been a bit busy focusing on other things, so I haven't quite gotten around to doing it, but it is on my to-do list at some point. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I do want to do it 100%. So at some point, it's going to happen. Trust me, Perplexo. I will make it happen. This next question here from Alex Butchan or Buchan. I'm terribly sorry if I've mispronounced your name. And they are asking, is Akarui and Shade going to be canon? I would assume you're referring to the fact that Akarui has a crush on Shade. So, yeah. At some point in the story, yes, they do become lovers. So, yeah, that is canon. Next one from Fox tilde hyphen. Sorry if I mispronounce it. Again, I'm sorry. I'm trying my best. But anyway, the question from this person says, would Akuma still hate Blaine if the incident happened with Akuma and somebody else? So, by incident, I'm sure you are referring to the fact that Blaine is the one who created Akuma, which was a big mistake. It wasn't supposed to happen. You know, that was a bad thing to do. And obviously, Akuma really dislikes Blaine for doing such a thing. So, would Akuma hate someone else if someone else created Akuma? Yeah, probably. I mean, it's as simple as that. So, like, if you create him, anyone who does it, yeah, Akuma would not appreciate it 100%. Definitely not. He won't like it. But, would he still hate Blaine? No. Here's the thing. If someone else created Akuma, then that means Blaine's off the hook, because obviously he didn't do it, you know? So, Akuma wouldn't even know who Blaine is, he wouldn't care less, you know? He would not care at all. So, there's your answer for that one. So this next question is from Fireball K4I, and they're asking, when are we going to revisit Akuma's Realm? Now, here's the deal. It takes me a long time to make videos for the Akuma's Realm series. But, if you haven't seen it already, I have just recently completed episode 2. So, like, if you're interested, you should go watch it, honestly. It's definitely a must-watch. If future me can figure out how YouTube works, I'll put a link at the top of the screen, one of these corners somewhere. Or, you know, I'll just put it in the description of this video, actually. Why not? When am I going to do more Akuma's Realm content? Well, to be honest, episode 2 took me about 5 months to make. That took a really long time, and I'm going to be taking a little bit of a break from Akuma's Realm for a little bit. But I will eventually start working on episode 3 very soon. But for now, I'm just going to make other videos until then. You know, I'm just going to take a little rest from Akuma's Realm for a bit, because that took me 5 months to make. Like, episode 2 alone took me 5 months. My gosh. It was so worth it, though, honestly. I'm really happy with how it's turned out. But yeah, if you haven't already, you should totally go watch it, honestly. Link in description, or pop-ups up here, whatever, you know, go see it. Fireball also has another question, asking, did you ever get a ride from the cafe? For those who missed out on the short, I'm still looking for you guys.
Hey.
To be honest, that video, did they get a ride? I don't know. I was just hoping people would use their imagination to kind of figure out whether they managed to get a ride home or whatever to where they needed to be. I don't know. Use your imagination, I guess. Do I think they made it home? Yeah, I guess. I guess they got a ride home eventually, but, you know, I was hoping people would just kind of think of things, you know, come up with stuff. Use your imagination. So there's that. We got a question from Blaze Mari, and they're asking if a certain wolf that is also a sickle user faced Akuma, who do you think would win, Akuma or Death? Are you talking about the guy from that Puss in Boots movie? The big scary wolf with the sickles? I would imagine you're probably referring to that guy. Although I'm pretty sure Death can't smell fear from Akuma. Yeah, I don't think Akuma is scared of dangerous things, to be honest. He's more afraid about his mental state. I don't know what Akuma's afraid of. Or maybe I do know what he's afraid of, and I'm just keeping it a secret from you guys. You know? I mean, again, go watch Akuma's Realm, and on those videos for the Akuma's Realm series, you can learn a bit about Akuma, you know, perhaps, you know, get to know him. But who would win? I don't know. Death versus Akuma? I really don't know, honestly. There is something that makes me believe Akuma would win, and it's because Akuma has mythical powers, you know? We've got some fantasy elements in here. The only thing that the Death guy has, the guy from Puss in Boots, right? He's got a pair of sickles, and he's also very scary, and he messes with you, right? But he doesn't really have mythical powers, you know? I don't think he's a very magical person. He's just a very scary guy. As for Akuma, he's a very magical person, on the other hand. You know, he can do many magical things. Heck, he can create his own dimension, for goodness sake. I mean, look at this place. Yeah, I feel like Akuma would win because of his magical abilities and some of the things he can do. You know, there's a lot he can do. Again, use your imagination. Akuma could do anything, honestly. He could do so much with his powers. It's like he could do anything. Use your imagination, I guess. We got another question from Blaze Mari. They say this is optional, but you know what? I'm going to have a look at this one anyway. Once all of the projects are finished, like the ones ongoing so far, will there be some clips of the Western Weeb Wolf if in the near future, like basically in a what if scenarios? So what you're saying is, will there be like story videos that are like an alternative universe or something? Like, what if this happened in the story instead of this? I don't think I really thought about doing it. I never really made plans to do anything like that. But it's an interesting idea. I could try it, maybe. Maybe one day I could try it. Right, this next question is from Kitson Creations. And he's saying, among all the characters in the story, who is the strongest and has the greatest influence on the story? Now that is an interesting one, you know? I could be here for ages talking about that because of how many characters there are in the story, you know? There's at least, like, more than 30 now. But the thing is, not all of those 30-plus characters have made an appearance on this channel yet, you know? I can only make so much content within a certain amount of time. Like, if we want to see more of the characters that haven't been seen yet, just give me time, guys. We'll see them one day, trust me. Just give me time, okay? We'll see them eventually. But anyway, who's the strongest and who has the most influence on the story? So, I don't know if it might seem crazy for me to say this, but there's kind of two characters that make me think have a big influence. As for who's the strongest, probably Akuma. I think Akuma is the strongest because of the endless possibilities on what he can do with his magical powers or something. He can do a lot. And for someone who could do a lot of things, you know, that would mean they have a lot of power. So then they're very strong, right? Because they have power. I mean, is Akuma strong physically? Probably not. I don't know. Probably not. But like strong metaphorically? Yes? Is metaphorically the right word? I'm not entirely sure. But I'm sure you guys maybe you understand what I'm talking about. Maybe you get what I'm trying to put down. Akuma's definitely a strong character and has a lot of influence on the story, except it kind of doesn't look like it. But towards the Akuma's Realm trilogy, he has a lot of influence on the story. He does a lot of interesting things. Anyone else who has a big influence on the story, I would say probably Bubble. I mean, he's the main character. He meets a lot of other characters in the story, and he does a lot of things with them. And for some of the characters, Bubble changes lives, He makes a lot of people very happy indeed, which is awesome, He does a lot of cool stuff. As for anyone who is strong besides Akuma, that's certainly an interesting question if we take Akuma out of the equation for just a second, right? If we ignore that for just a minute, who else could be really strong besides Akuma? And I don't entirely know. I think I'd probably say it's one of the other magical folks. Maybe Kimura, or Blaine, or Ramune, or Taro, or Asaka, I'll put a bunch of pictures of these characters as I say their names. So those characters that I've just named have some mythical powers in the story, and they can do a lot as well. They probably can't do as much as Akuma can. Like Ramune, Taro, Asaka, Blaine. They are certainly magical people, but Akuma is probably stronger than all of them. All of them combined? I don't know, maybe. Akuma can do things that they can't, basically. I hope that answered your question, Kitson. I think that's the best I can do, honestly. We have a bunch of questions from Bun K4F. I remember he asked a couple of questions in the last Q&A. One or two. But anyway, since Mr. Bentley is very dark, does he avoid sunlight? How does he stay cool in the summer? It's not like dogs sweat. I mean, that's true. Dogs do not sweat. That is true right there. So, how does Mr. Bentley stay cool in the summer, and does he avoid sunlight? I would say, to the sunlight thing, I'd say no. Mr. Bentley wouldn't exactly avoid sunlight. I mean, it doesn't harm him in any way. He's perfectly fine with being in the sunlight, like any other person would be fine with it. So, the answer to the sunlight thing, no. He's perfectly fine with being in sunlight. How does he stay cool in the summer? I don't know. There are some questions here that ask things that I don't even know how to answer, because I've never even thought about it for a character, and this is one of them. How does a character stay cool in the summer? I don't know. Do whatever people do in the summer to stay cool. I don't know. Go swimming in a swimming pool, or have the AC on to have the room cool down a bit, or something like that. Or have an ice cream. Ice cream. Having an ice cream is nice. I guess Mr. Bentley would do the kind of things that regular people would do in the summer to stay cool. You could use your imagination with this one, I guess. Another one from Bun K4F. Has Akuma just kidnapped people? Yes. 100% yes. So the way the Akuma's Realm trilogy is set up is that the cowboy town that we're having a look at here in the videos, it's a whole dimension that Akuma has created from scratch. He's set it all up, and it's kind of like a simulation. Right? So what Akuma does is he gets people over into this dimension, and to prevent these people from leaving, because obviously when these people have been kidnapped into a dimension, they'll be like, where am I? I need to escape this place before something bad happens, I don't want to be here for much longer. Oh no. So obviously, to prevent people from trying to leave the cowboy dimension, Akuma kind of like brainwashes people into believing that they have always lived there. So the people that are in this cowboy town definitely have not lived here their entire lives, but Akuma has kidnapped them, put them here, and made them all think that they have lived here for their whole lives, basically. So I hope that answers that question there. Will Akuma and Bubble ever become friends? If so, how does Akuma become visible to Bubble? Now, I have to say, this might be one of my favorite questions so far, because it's actually something that I did plan to think about a lot. And this could be a bit of a spoiler for the story, but it might be a really long time until I actually get to making a video where I might show something that shows stuff about Akuma meeting Bubble. But basically, at some point in the story, they do eventually meet properly. Akuma and Bubble see each other with each other's own eyes properly. But there's a bit of a puzzle in order to make Akuma visible to Bubble. There's a few steps that they have to go through. Do Akuma and Bubble become friends? It might be a spoiler for the story if I say yes or no, but I guess I'll say that this is a spoiler warning because I'm going to answer that question in 3, 2, 1. Yes, they do become friends. That's what I want to happen. I want that to be canon. I want Akuma and Bubble to be friends. How does that happen? You're just gonna have to find out. Wait until I make the content to show that stuff off, right? Wait until I get there, okay? Because that part of the story is a long way away from now, okay? The Akuma's Realm trilogy is only just beginning, okay? And Bubble and Akuma getting together and seeing each other properly, that's a lot later. So, if you want to know how this happens, you're just gonna have to wait and find out. So stay tuned. Can we see Running Guy again? Can he be a reoccurring side character? Right, I believe you're referring to this guy, aren't you? I know you are. So this is what the people in the comments are calling Running Guy from Akuma's Realm Episode 2. This guy makes an appearance in the newest episode of Akuma's Realm in Episode 2 at a very specific scene. And people are calling this dude Running Guy, which honestly I find really hilarious. That's not really what this guy's name is, but to be honest, I don't know what this guy's name is. Now, here's the deal. This avatar, right, this character doesn't actually belong to me. I didn't make this. This was made by a friend of mine who goes by the name of Weepwolf, okay? And the thing is, he's allowed me to use the avatars of some characters that he's created. One of them including a guy that refuses to buy apples from Bubble. I'll put a picture or a clip on screen over here, right? That's one of my favorite characters that Weepwolf has made. When I do acting for that character, honestly, it's like the creativity that I put out into it is just, it's really funny, honestly. So here's the thing. Because this character isn't mine, I am not entirely sure if this is going to be a reoccurring character, especially with what happens to this character. In the newest episode of Akuma's Realm, something happens to this guy. Now, I'm not going to spoil it, okay? I'm not going to spoil what happens. Again, if you want to know what happens to this guy, you're just going to have to watch the episode and find out, alright? Go watch Akuma's Realm Episode 2, okay? And you'll eventually see this character in the episode, right? I'm not spoiling what happens, but something happens to this guy, and there's a small chance I probably won't use this avatar again. The thing is, when I used this character for the scene that he appeared in, I just wanted a random character that had a very quick appearance, and I just wanted them to be there and then gone, and that was it, right? I just wanted it to be a one-off thing. Especially because, obviously, because this isn't my character, this belongs to someone else, I don't want to use it a whole bunch and stuff, because, you know, it's not mine, right? Weepwolf has allowed me to use these characters that he's made, but of course, I want to be nice and respectful and not go completely overboard with it. And plus, there are some other characters that Weepwolf has made that I enjoy more than this one. But I don't know. Maybe this guy will make another appearance at some point, but I don't know if that would happen anytime soon, considering what happens to him. But once again, I'm not spoiling what happens to him, okay? You're just gonna have to find out. Go watch the new episode. Akuma's Realm episode 2, go watch it. So yeah, I don't know if we'll see Running Guy again, but who knows? I guess you'll have to find out. Just wait and see. Who knows? He could be anywhere. Could be anywhere. Is Running Guy single? I don't know. It's not my character. How am I supposed to know? I mean, I haven't really made up any lore for the characters that I play as that belong to Weebwolf, okay? His characters, I've not really made up lore for them. You know, because that's his job, right? They're his characters, right? It's Weebwolf's job to decide whether Running Guy is single or not, okay? If you want to know the answer to this question, go ask Weebwolf. Oh my gosh. This next one here is Mr. Bentley single? That I don't even know. I don't know. There's a lot to it with Mr. Bentley. There are some factors that could probably make it so he's not, but then there's a factor that could make it so he technically is because of what he is. So I suppose I'll get into Mr. Bentley's lore just a little bit, right? One of the reasons he looks like such a shadow figure, like a ghostly kind of guy or something, is because Mr. Bentley is the spirit of what used to be a living man. And when he was alive, he used to be like, imagine a man in his 30s or 40s or 20s in a fancy suit with like a top hat, a monocle maybe, and he lives somewhere in the 1800s, you know, Victorian times. That's what Mr. Bentley used to be when he was a living man. He was the average English fancy man in the Victorian times, somewhere as an adult, you know, just living life, being a fancy gentleman, I guess, you know. And as he became not alive, he's become something else. But Akuma is responsible for turning Mr. Bentley into what he is now, this ghostly-looking figure, right? Because he wasn't always like that. After he died, he was just kind of nothing. He was like, it was just his soul floating around in a container that's filled with other souls of what used to be living people. And what Akuma did was he went to this container and he took the soul of Mr. Bentley and he turned it into a living creature. You know, he turned Mr. Bentley into what he is now. So Akuma is responsible of the creation of Mr. Bentley, technically. You know, he's taken the soul of what used to be a living man and he's turned it into a scary looking creature, you know? So there's that. So when Mr. Bentley was a living man in the 1800s in England, was he single? I don't know. Again, you could use your imagination with this. Maybe he wasn't single. Maybe he was married. Who knows? I never really thought of that. Maybe I could think of the lore on whether he was married. I don't know. Why am I getting into this? It's not that deep, or is it? Oh, I don't know. Maybe I'll expand the lore. Who bloody knows? I don't know how to answer this question exactly. I mean, I've tried my best. I hope I've answered the question. You know, I've done what I can. Okay. I hope you're happy. Please be happy. I'm really trying my best here. And of course, he asks another question that's incredibly similar to the previous two that I just answered. Is Akuma single? Once again, I don't know. I don't exactly know. I don't think he's not. I'm fairly sure he is. I mean, to be honest, throughout most of the story in the main trilogy, Blaine is like the only person that can properly see Akuma, which means Blaine is like the only guy that Akuma can technically socialize with. The problem is, they kind of hate each other throughout 90% of the story. Like, do they ever get along? Well, it might be spoilers if I answer that, actually. So, you're just gonna have to wait and find out. Just wait. One day, the content will be there that shows these parts of the story that will hopefully answer your questions. I don't know if I'll answer it right now, as to whether Blaine and Akuma would actually get along and become friends, because it could be spoiler material, and I'm sure some people probably don't care about spoilers, but me personally, I do care about spoilers, you know? Like, for example, if someone's talking about a movie that they've seen, but I've not seen it yet, and I plan on seeing it, like, if you're the person who's watched the movie, please don't tell me spoilers, okay? I care about spoilers greatly, and I like it when I don't get spoilers, you know? And because of that, obviously, I prefer not to give spoilers to the audience sometimes. Sometimes I might, sometimes I won't. You know how it is. So, there's that for you. For the last few questions, we've got some more for Bun K4F. I will say, Bun K4F, thank you very much for giving a whole bunch of questions. Honestly, you've come in clutch. Seriously, if you hadn't have asked me all these questions, this video will have been a lot shorter. And I'm very glad that I get to just be here and chat some more, you know? I love chatting. I love to talk about the story, right? And I love to answer questions about the story as well. I absolutely love it to death. It's awesome, you know? So I want to say thank you very much for the huge list of questions you've given me. Honestly, it's awesome. Is Akuma really talking about just trains in the most recent video? Or is there something more at play here? Well, if you've seen the newest episode of Akuma's Realm, episode 2, then you will know that there's a scene where Akuma is having a conversation with Mr. Bentley, and it looks like he's just talking about trains. I am fully aware about your concerns regarding the fact that there's no locomotives in service, but believe me when I say this, I need more time, okay? He's not ready yet. As of right now, his boiler can't even hold any steam, right? So, here's the deal. I'm sure you might have picked up that when it looks like he's talking about trains, he's on about how there's no trains in active service, you know? Meaning the trains can't get to where they need to be, you know? There's, like, some passenger coaches that need to get from A to B, you know? People need to get to their destination, and there's some freight that needs to be moved, you know? There's a whole bunch of goods that need moving around, things to be delivered, but the problem is, there's no locomotive to haul those trains, right? So, what is Akuma's best solution to getting these trains from A to B when there's no locomotives to haul the rolling stock to actually get the stuff from A to B? Well, as you may know, if you've seen the episode, you'll know that Akuma has forced a bunch of people to do some heavy labor to push the trains themselves. Hey, until then, just continue torturing the townsfolk into hauling the trains for you. Come on, you cowards, put your backs into it. If this train don't make it to Egginton's Halt by tomorrow, none of y'all are gonna see the light of day ever again. And this cat here, with the gun, is making sure that everyone is doing their job properly. Making sure they're pushing the train, getting there from A to B, right? He's just the guy making sure they're doing the job. Akuma has told him to make sure those people are doing their thing properly. So, yeah, Akuma's kind of just torturing people here. There is more to it, to the whole train thing. Okay, there is more to it. Akuma says how there's no locomotives in service. But that doesn't mean there's no locomotives in the cowboy town. I mean, there's one right behind me. Look at this thing over here, huh? There's a locomotive right there, And if you've watched Akuma's Realm episode 2, you'll know that you have seen this. You will have seen this locomotive right here. I got to show it off in the video a little bit. Just a tiny bit. To be honest, at the time that I was showing the locomotive in the video, when you guys will have seen it if you've watched the video, the model itself for the locomotive is in quite a state. It was in quite a state. It was still heavily under construction. It wasn't really finished. But then again, I decided to just go with it because in the story, the locomotives are not in service, right? So Akuma has this locomotive here that is in bit, right? Akuma's working on repairing this locomotive, and soon it will be in service. That's I should have given a spoiler warning for that. But yeah, this locomotive will be in service eventually in the cowboy town. But for now, Akuma's working on restoring it, right? Akuma talks about how there's no locomotives in service, but he also talks about how he's working on restoring this one behind me. And eventually, it will be in service. So when this one here is in service, he'll stop torturing the people to move the trains, you know? And then this will be hauling the trains instead. But, as I said, there is more to it with the train stuff. This locomotive has a backstory and everything, because it wasn't always in the cowboy town. I mean, the whole cowboy town dimension was just created by Akuma from scratch, right? And Akuma didn't create the locomotive. So where did he get the locomotive from? I'll lend you in on a little secret, okay? The locomotive, how Akuma got it, he stole it. It was originally in the real world, right, on Earth, this locomotive. And Akuma just straight up stole it. And after he stole it, it was in the news. The people in the real world were like, how on earth did someone manage to steal a giant locomotive? Well, not giant, but like, people were surprised, like, you know, it was all in the news, and the people were shocked at how someone managed to accomplish such an insane goal to steal a heavy piece of machinery that weighs a lot of tons. It weighs a lot, right? Steam locomotives are heavy machines, you know? So, how has Akuma done that? This locomotive here was originally in the real world, in a museum, actually. I have thought about the backstory of this thing. I'm not going to talk about the whole backstory today, but I'll talk about some of it, okay? This locomotive here, in the real world, it was at a railway museum, and it was a static display. It was just a standard. It was a static exhibit, all right? The locomotive was just on static display because at that time, it wasn't in working order. It was waiting to be restored, you know? It wasn't able to move. It was basically broken. It didn't really work. So the museum just had it on display for people to just look at, you know? And in the story, the people that work at the museum had plans to restore the locomotive at some point. But because of inefficient funds, no way, insufficient. That's, oh my god. But because of insufficient funds, they were not able to restore it right away, you know? It will have taken a while for them to get the funding that they needed to restore the locomotive. So, because they couldn't do it immediately, the project to restore it was just put on hold. It was just on pause, and until then, it's just on display at the museum for people to have a look at. Because why not, you know? A nice little static display for you to look at a railway museum. But then, of course, Akuma comes in at some point in the story. He just nicks it. He just steals the whole thing. The locomotive, gone. And then it's in the cowboy town, right here. And what does Akuma do with it? He restores it into working order, he makes it work, and then he uses it. Well, Mr. Bentley uses it, actually. Mr. Bentley becomes the driver. But you get the point. Akuma gets this thing restored, and then this thing gets used. What happens after the Akuma Realm trilogy, you might be wondering? For this locomotive, what happens afterwards? You're just gonna have to wait until I get to that point. Just wait and find out. Okay? I have been planning to talk about this locomotive in a whole separate video. Like, I'm gonna make a video talking about the entire development of this thing, from how the model was made to its entire backstory, everything. I will cover it in a video at some point in the future. But right now, yes, there is more at play here than just train stuff. Or at least there's more to it with the train stuff, is what I mean. Does Mr. Bentley have any other anomalous? Mr. Bentley have any other anomalous properties to his physical form? Do people just not question how dark he is? You know, because he's very scary looking. Like he's a shadow man. In the story, if people in the real world were to encounter Mr. Bentley, obviously they will think to themselves, that guy looks a bit scary. But people don't exactly question why he looks like that. The way it is, because he looks scary, nobody bothers to approach him. Because obviously, if you have a brain and you see something that's scary, you wouldn't want to go investigating it now, would you? Because that's a really stupid thing that people would do in like a horror film. Seriously, I swear to God, it happens a lot in like horror movies or something. There's something scary happening, and then the character goes to investigate it, and then bad things happen. Obviously, that's a very dumb thing to do, you know? If I found out that there was something scary over here or something, I'd just be like, nah, I'm out. Goodbye. You know what I mean? So, in the story, the people in the real world, the people that encounter Mr. Bentley are smart enough to not approach him, basically, or at least they just don't want to, because they're like, Mr. Bentley over here seems scary. I don't want to investigate this, because if I do, something bad might happen, you know? Do people know his name is Mr. Bentley? No, definitely not, because Mr. Bentley doesn't talk, obviously. He communicates to you telepathically, you know, you'd hear a voice in your head, that would be Mr. Bentley's way of communicating with you, but he only communicates in this way with Akuma. He chooses not to talk to anyone else in this way, you know, he only just talks to Akuma. He might talk to someone else at some point in the story, but again, you just have to wait and find out as to who else he could talk to. But at the minute, all we know is he talks to Akuma telepathically. Nobody really questions why Mr. Bentley looks like a scary shadow ghost figure, because nobody can be bothered to investigate, you know? People see something that looks scary, and they're like, no thanks, I don't want to get involved with whatever that is. So yeah, hope that answers that question for you. Since Mr. Bentley's eyes glow white, could he be used as a flashlight? The more I think about it, the more I think, no, I don't think his eyes would work as a flashlight, because they're not that bright. They're just bright enough for you to be able to see them. But that doesn't mean the eyes would make a dark area have light. You know what I mean? No, it wouldn't work as a flashlight. It doesn't work. No, the eyes are not bright enough. Mr. Bentley wakes up Bubble at the end of the most recent video. Why did he do that? I thought that Akuma was working on something for Mr. Bentley. Yes, that is something that happens in Akuma's Realm episode 2. Mr. Bentley seems to wake up Bubble, but that's a bit strange, because Akuma has been working on something and he's not really ready for Bubble to be awake. So, I'm going to put another spoiler warning here. What happens here is, at the end of episode 2, we see Bubble waking up, and I decided to put the viewers on a cliffhanger. You know, I've put you guys on a cliffhanger at the end of episode 2 as Bubble wakes up. So you'll have to find out what happens next in episode 3, I guess. But I suppose I will say a few things that do happen. But as I said, I'm putting a spoiler warning here, okay? So what happens here is Mr. Bentley does wake up Bubble, but not in the way you'd expect. What actually happens is that Mr. Bentley is initiating a sort of simulation that's going on inside Bubble's mind, which I guess is another way of saying Bubble is dreaming, right? He's still asleep. Mr. Bentley is just starting up a dream for Bubble, right? So Bubble is having a dream, and Mr. Bentley goes into the dream. So then Bubble will see Mr. Bentley in his dream, right? That is how episode 3 is going to begin. That's going to be like the opening scene. Bubble is going to wake up, and he thinks he's awake, but he's not. He's still asleep. It's just that that's how his dream has started, right? So when he, quote, wakes up, and the dream has started, he will see Mr. Bentley, and then he'll go from there. That's all I'm going to say for now, okay? I've given you just a little bit of spoilers, but no more from there. You got that? Okay, cool. Oh wait, I forgot to mention, what was Akuma doing? So Akuma isn't ready for Bubble to be 100% properly awake yet, because in the cowboy town, Akuma is getting things ready. He's preparing for Bubble's arrival in the cowboy town. I mean, one of the things he is focusing on, as we see in the episode, is he's focusing on the locomotive, right? He's trying to fix that thing, but he doesn't have enough time to do it, because when Bubble arrives, the locomotive is still broken, right? It's not ready yet. But on the bright side, once Bubble arrives, Akuma will have had the other stuff that he wanted set up for Bubble specifically to be ready, right? For example, Akuma has to think about where Bubble is going to live while he's in the cowboy town. You know, where will he reside? Where will Bubble sleep? Akuma has to think about that. He has to think about the life Bubble is going to live. Because, as I said earlier, the people that are in the cowboy town have been brainwashed into thinking they've always lived there, so they just live a casual life, right? So Akuma needs to do the same to Bubble in order to make things go smoothly, right? So he's got to prepare that. He's got to think about what sort of life Bubble is going to live while he's in the cowboy town. So he decides what Bubble does. It takes him a lot of time to think about it, and while he's thinking about it, he's working on the locomotive, and then he's also doing some other things to prepare for Bubble's arrival, things happening here and there, that sort of thing. So what Mr. Bentley is doing is just keeping Bubble in check, right? So with the whole dream thing, that is something that Akuma has asked Mr. Bentley to do. So Akuma has asked Mr. Bentley to go and just keep an eye on Bubble. You just watch him, right? Just make sure he's okay, keep him in check, right? Just while Akuma is over here getting things ready for him. That's all is going on here. So Mr. Bentley hasn't done anything wrong. He's fulfilling a task that Akuma has requested. So, now, I believe I have answered that question. I hope so, anyway. I hope I've answered that question. Would children be scared of Mr. Bentley, considering he's just a shadow being? This is a very easy one to answer. Obviously, yes. I mean, come on. I certainly think children would be afraid of Mr. Bentley. I mean, if we're thinking about hypothetically in the story here, like, just imagine, right? Just imagine that you're somewhere in your early years, you know, you're a young child just minding your own business, and like you see Mr. Bentley in the distance. What would you think if you saw that? You'd probably be traumatized for life or something. I don't know. But the point is, it would not be good for you. It would definitely not be good for you to see Mr. Bentley at a very young age, because he's a scary guy. I'm talking canonically here, at least, in the story. For if someone in the story who's a really young person sees Mr. Bentley, and they get scared and stuff, definitely, 100%, I definitely think that they would be scared of Mr. Bentley. And I believe that has been a crazy Q&A right there. I hope I've answered that question for you, Bun K4F. And as for all the other people that had questions that I've answered, I hope I've done all that successfully. I've done my best. I've been recording now for an hour. God's sake. I didn't think this one was going to be as long as the last one, but you know what? I have a feeling this one is going to be just as long as the last one, if not longer. Oh my goodness me! I'm really glad that I finally got round to doing the second Q&A, okay? It's finally done. And... oh my gosh. There's going to be so much editing for me to do. Future me. Oh man, I'm terribly sorry, my guy. Oh, I think that's just about going to wrap up today's video. That's just about everything, I believe. I don't know if I've answered every single question, but I think I've done the majority of them at least. So I hope you enjoyed this video. The second Q&A is finally done. It's finally sorted out. Oh my gosh. When will I do a third Q&A? I don't know. I really don't know. Oh my gosh. You know, this second Q&A was supposed to be like a subscriber special. What was it? Wasn't it like... nearly... I can't remember. I can't remember what the subscriber special count, like how many subscribers it was. This was supposed to be a subscriber special, but like I've gained a few more since then. But you know what? Yeah, thank you to those who have subscribed. I greatly appreciate it. Oh man. Oh, what a time. What a time this is. Okay. I am going to go and have a rest now. I have been here talking for an hour straight, right? And I'm gonna sort out this video, alright? You guys, you take care of yourselves. You are amazing people, alright? I hope you're all having a good morning, day, afternoon, evening, or night, whichever one it is for you, whichever the time, whatever the time may be for you right now, whatever it is. I hope you're having a good time, okay? And I will see you later in another video, alright? Cheers, everybody. Bye. Bye-bye. Oh my gosh.